Welcome back to the Mackem in the Middle podcast after another Sunderland League game, this time at home. And it's the end of a run of defeats with a 3-1 win at home to Norwich City. And as always, we'll get into what happened during the game, some of the changes that were made, and then a brief look ahead to the next game, which I think is on Saturday. But like I said, John, first, well, it's the end of what was a run of 3 defeats. And this is one of them games where the performance doesn't matter. Nothing matters other than ending that run of form. And we did.
Yeah, we did. Like you say, it's one of those, obviously you want to play well and you want to play well at home. But it's about getting that result after the results we've had. Obviously, we know it's quite reactionary, on social media when, we're sort of not winning games, 3 in a row. We could all argue that in fairness, obviously we know the Middlesbrough game was a bit of a weird one. And then decisions, from sort of the Dan Neil one have not gone in our favour, but it's not all been doom and gloom. When we lost sort of a few games when we was in sort of League One, it was, we were bad and we weren't nearly as good as we should have been. Whereas we know now it's we're still doing the right things, and obviously the results will come. But yeah, as opposed to yesterday, it is getting that job done. I think as soon as when they scored, I thought they'd score against the runner play. It's just typical. Yeah. But once we got, the goal back, I was then confident, if you know what I mean. 'Cause teams like to sit back and just play a bit of shithousery
without punishment.
Oh God, yeah, I'll say the referee again and the linesman. Jesus, it's getting boring now. It really is. And there's never any accountability from their bosses. You look at Jared Gillett, who did the sent Dan Neil off, and he's back working within sort of a week. So there's never any. It's just one of those things you just got to suck and take it. It's awful, but you got to suck.
He was the VAR in that Wolves game as well, and gave one of the worst penalties I've ever seen.
Yeah, and it took, how long did it take? 5 minutes to reach? If you have to watch something to me, it goes to a matter of opinion then, and you might as well.
It's weird. This is completely off topic, and it's literally going to be a 30-second debate, this one. But the whole clear and obvious debate in football is absolutely shocking, because that is as clear and obvious a mistake as you will get, and he still decided to go with the on-field decision in that game.
Yeah, it's a weird one, because if Anthony Taylor doesn't give it, you can't tell me Jared Gillett's going to say, you better have a look. You better have a look.
That's a 10. If he doesn't give it, that's a 10-second check to say there's no contact. Play on.
Yeah, it's one of those ones you just get you just think, he's given it, whatever. Who knows what the rules are anymore.
Yeah. We'll start with the referee, because we always like to leave the main talking point to last, and I don't think the referee was the main talking point in this game, and we'll touch on the Norwich goal in a second. But just in general, again, they were just shocking. Some of the decisions, not even just the referee, but the linesman, there's 3 or 4 times in our favour where the ball was a yard or 2 out of play. The linesman somehow didn't see it, wasn't given. There was another case I think it was in the first half, where we go to take a quick free kick. Their player deliberately blocks it, stops a quick free kick. Referee's not even looking at it, doesn't get booked. And again, it was, like I say, we'll get on to the goal and the kind of question marks over it, but it was just shocking again, wasn't it?
Yeah, we said when we were in League One, when we go up, I don't know why we expected the officiating to get any better. If anything, it's worse. And we keep getting these drop down Premier League referees.
I think that is what makes it worse as well, is because when you're in League One, you're not going to get Premier League refs. When you're in the Championship, you're going to get Premier League refs. And the Premier League refs are so heavily reliant on VAR that they don't want to give clear decisions, because 9 times out of 10, they've got another referee who can check it, watch the replays, and they'll make the decision for them. They don't have that in the Championship, which is why so many big decisions seem to go, not just big decisions, but clear decisions seem to go unnoticed.
Yes, again, it's one of those massive frustrations. All you're asking for is consistency. What happened to time waste to Norwich keeper yesterday? How long did it take to take goal kicks? And the referee's just going, come on. And it's like, mate, he's not. you're going to just leave it, aren't you? You're just going to be like, well, I'll keep dragging it because he's not going to book me. Well, you book him straight away, he's going to be in trouble then, because you have that consistency. You know, the amount of people I've seen now mouthing off the referee and not getting a yellow card, whereas we're the ones who were punished. You know, it's just give us that consistency. And if someone's consistent, even consistently bad, I'll go, well, at least it is consistent. But that will always be the frustration. I think that, the linesman, I think before I won't call it controversial offside, because I think he's, I think how it went was probably quite straightforward. But before that, I'm sure he totally missed something. And you're thinking, what are you doing, man? You know, who grows up to want to be a linesman? You know, you must have failed some way in life to be considered a linesman.
Fail as a footballer and then fail as a referee.
You have to fail as a referee. Yeah, exactly. You're not good enough to be a referee, but you're good enough to. You've only got to watch. That's all you got to do. You know, But yeah, we could smash them to pieces all day long. So I'd rather not.
All day long, every week of the year. But like I say, Norwich took the lead, and you said controversial, and it's a weird one because at the time he looked absolutely miles offside. There's a few pictures on Twitter that shows he could be onside. I don't think anyone can get a definitive answer from them pictures, because you can see just about nothing of true human in them pictures. It is close. But the thing that gets me is, I don't know how to word this, because like I said, the offside is actually a lot more contentious than I thought it was. But if you watch it back, and people say this is clutching at straws, but it really isn't, because if you watch it back, you'll see that when the ball goes through to that player who is potentially offside, the linesman changes his running stance, has both hands on his flag, which means he's about to flag for offside if he touches the ball. And like I say, people will say that's clutching at straws. You'd be like, oh, that could happen. But if you watch any game of football, if the linesman gives a offside, they change the way they're running. They don't have the flag in one hand anymore, and you can tell they're about to give it. And that's exactly what the referee does here. So in the linesman's mind, he is offside. But he doesn't flag because he hasn't touched the ball. Whereas as soon as an attacking player who is deemed to be offside makes a move towards the ball, he is interfering with play. And that's what he does. The linesman doesn't give it, and ultimately they go down and score. And like I said, that doesn't happen. The defending after that becomes irrelevant. But in this case, it's not irrelevant, because Sunderland again have to do better after that.
Yeah, I think you got to break it down straight away, and this is what you're always told. And it's if the player going for the ball, which I think he does make a motion to the ball, which would make our defenders react, which is what they do.
Yeah.
So if you make them react in any way, I think we saw one in the Premier League a few weeks ago with, I think it's Man City, who ran across or ran near the keeper. The keeper hesitates. I think it was Jason Steele, I think. He then holds his dive for a second, then he does dive, and obviously if he hadn't have, if the guy wasn't there, obviously he dives fully, and he does save the ball. But in that moment, if you're changing a defender's, and that's why it's refereed and linesman, that's not even a word, but whatever. But if it's that, they aren't footballers, so they wouldn't know that. They wouldn't know that, like, your thought process, a defender, how you react, and that's, I don't think those are the types of things that are taken, into account. On the flip side, yes, we're a very young team, but play to the whistle, Yeah. To me, the atmosphere wasn't absolutely rocking in the first half, so you would have heard, you wouldn't have heard the whistles, obviously didn't go off, so you deal with it. We can't just claim, and there are some times where we don't claim for stuff. You've got to deal with it, and if you deal with it, we comfortably win the game, probably more because they don't score, but they catch us out. Awful defending, someone's free on the edge of the box, which is quite poor. But again, I don't think we've reacted very well from what we'd call a mistake, by Ekwes. I think even Mowbray said, he's got to deal with that. And then, we'll ask questions later. You can smash the ball out of play or smash the player and take a foul and then berate the linesman. Then, I can live with that. But it's one of those, again, it's just give us that consistency, because I think he does play. Well, as you saying, even Trey Hume's out of the picture, he's probably even playing him playing them on sides. That's probably a non-issue. Again, you've got to deal. It comes back to Pierre Ekwa. You've got to deal with it, and the excuse will be, "Well, young team, still learning, a bit naive," and we've got to expect those things, and that's how it is, and that's unfortunately what we have to accept by all accounts.
Yeah, and at 1-0, it's very much looking like the same outcome as the last 3 games, in which, of course, all games we have went behind, only scored one goal in them previous 3 games. But it was about 14 minutes after Trey Hume gets, I think, his 3rd goal for Sunderland. I thought it would go down as own goal, but it hasn't. And it's a first contribution of the season for Patrick Roberts, which a little bit disappointing considering the quality that he has and the amount of games he's played. But he gets the assist, and we say this a lot, but it is a good time to get that equaliser because if you're gonna be at home against a team like Norwich, who have struggled so far this season, down in 17th, if you let them go into the half-time break with a goal advantage, things are going to be a lot harder in the second half for you to come out and attack them, come out and break them down. So to get that equaliser when we did, and one thing I want to say, shooting from outside the box, was it a shot? I don't know if it was, but we seem to do that a lot more in this game. Just whether it was a shot from outside the box, whether it was just trying to get an early cross in. If you do that more often, all it takes is a nick off the player and it gets you a goal.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Time to score. Sort of. I think it was 37 minutes. I think it's probably even going wide. By the looks of it on the stream, but we've had nothing's go against us. The last few weeks, so it's about time maybe something did, fall for us. And like I say, perfect time to, if you're level, against what we'd call, I thought, Norwich were horrible, to be fair. If you're early on and still level after going behind, I think they're thinking, oh, we might be in a bit of trouble there. If they go in at 1-0, they've got something to hold on to. They can recharge, and it's like, right, get out there, kick 7 bells out of Roberts and Clark, waste time, try and piss the crowd off, and that's what we see 9 times out of 10. But again, even better, we obviously score, again just before half time and go in 2-1 up.
Yeah, and it's a very good goal, the one that put us 2-1 up, and it's Jack Clark who's involved again. This was his 9th contribution of the season. Obviously, goes on to get his 10th as well in the second half. But again, similar to Robert, it's his first assist of the season, and it's a very well-earned assist as well. He gets the ball, he beats 2 or 3 players, and he has the awareness to pick out Dan Neil, who's made the run through the middle. And not only is the assist a very good one, but it's a very, very, very good finish from Dan Neil as well over the keeper.
Yeah, I think the assist is fantastic. He doesn't panic. He could have about 10 players around him, and I think he'd still try and dribble the ball out. He's got such quick feet, which makes, his stats will sort of embarrass Burnley, with their stupid low ball bids. But yeah, just an absolutely fantastic bit of football that is the norm now. It's not a surprise. I think he really has come on, this season even better. I think he's got better stats already, or that he's matched them already.
About stats, one interesting one is I think we've scored 24 goals this season, and 10 of them have been contributed by him, which is about 45%, I think. Obviously 9 goals and an assist. So it shows it's a good thing that, a player like Clark you can rely on. He's shown consistency this season. That's, I think, 14 or 15 games and obviously 10 contributions. But it also is, I don't want to say a bad thing, but possibly a cause for concern that if you take him out of your team, if he was to get an injury, if he was to leave in January or whatever it would be, you've immediately lost 45% of the goals that you've scored so far this season.
Of course, that's a worry, and I think we're all in agreement that, although he seems to be playing relatively well, but we need Patrick Roberts to sort of at least match half of those stats. He seems to be sort of shown down blind alleys a few times. Doesn't really, doesn't get the final finish that that Jack Clark's got at the minute. Maybe it's because people are focusing on Patrick Roberts. Maybe that's given, Clark a bit of like non-pressure on that side. But at the moment, it's really working. Am I, talking about who's scoring the goals at the minute? This will probably sound like a bit of a criticism, but I think if we play anybody else, or I think if you play Rusyn in there, or Job, I don't think they score like Dan Neil does. I think the composure, just to go across the goalkeeper and then just sort of just dink it over. That's an unbelievable finish for me. That's, for such a young, I know they're all young, but for such a young lad, we'll give Rusyn the credit who took the defenders, away, which created the space, and obviously Clark getting his head up. But that is a fantastic finish. But I'm not sure, our strikers go through and necessarily score that. So that maybe is the slight concern on an absolutely positive, obviously, note with us, scoring another beautiful goal.
Yeah. And obviously the third goal, again, is as a result of Jack Clark. He gets the goal from the penalty spot. And again, very similar to what you said, it's a case of how confident he is on the ball. He picks it up, he drives into the box. And we've had players in the past that would do that and just wouldn't look like they're very composed and wouldn't look like they have the ball under control. But every time Clark runs forward with it, it looks like it's stuck to him. And the defender sticks out a leg. Clark goes down. Obviously, Hamir was on the pitch at this time as well. Could have squared it. But he didn't. He gets the foul, wins the penalty. And, for someone who come out in an interview after the game and said he doesn't think he's very good at penalties, he's been pretty good at penalties.
Oh, he's spot on at penalties. Like, for me, I think he's one of those few players that when he puts the ball down, like I wouldn't even worry. It's sort of up there with, Barini when he used to take penalties. Literally if I could have two penalty takers, I would those two would be the first on my list. Both of them just cool, calm, literally just slot it in. Doesn't matter what way it goes, they'll just score. And that's what you want. If I was being controversial, I'd probably say I'm not sure it was the most clearest penalty I've ever seen. I mean, I think we've had, more clear-cut ones that haven't been given. It looked a little bit like he was.
I think it's one of them as well, and we've used this argument for things that haven't been given when they possibly should have. But people will say it's a soft penalty. I think it is a penalty, but if that's outside the box, there is no doubt it's a foul. So if that's inside the box, it's no doubt there's a foul, because if it's a foul outside the box, it's a foul inside the box.
Yeah, but we know that that's not, that isn't a thing. I mean, that's perfect logic, and I would stand by that. But I don't think referees go by that. The softest of softest fouls will go. I don't know if you saw I think it was Plymouth Ipswich game yesterday. I think one of the Plymouth striker, when they were 1-0 up, got absolutely chopped down. The Plymouth commentator, I think, even lost it. Started calling him all sorts, the referee, literally live on air, from what I listened to this morning. So, and we've obviously seen Dan Neil's one as well. But maybe we deserved one. So we'll take it 100%. And like we going back to the original point, there's no one better than Clark. I think when I think Hamir was sniffing around quickly, to sort of get him on the score sheet, and we've seen before. I think it was when I think McGeady gave the ball to Will Grigg, sort of get your first goal under your belt. For me, we're, it's 2-1. Norwich could snatch something. So let's just go on and do the business. And, hopefully in the next few weeks, we seem to create in a bit more, and playing more like to the striker's strengths. Maybe we could play Rusyn and, a little bit more in behind. I think he got a bit frustrated. And obviously Hamir, maybe if we're being critical, should have at least worked the goalkeeper instead of sort of knocking it, up to where the away fans are. But yeah, Jack Clark penalties, spot on. Got no problem with that. And yeah, just again a fantastic player, and enjoy him for however long he's here. But if he's going to go, you absolutely take someone's pants down for him. I wouldn't sell him for nothing less than 30. Not a chance.
Yeah. Obviously, it's another game that we haven't had a striker scoring, and not one of our strikers has hit the back of the net yet. But Rusyn obviously started this one. Hamir came on as a sub, and although they didn't score, Rusyn I don't think had a chance in the game. Hamir did. But the positive signs are still there, especially for them two. The link-up play that Hemia showed when he came on, I think there was one point where I think it was him and Pritchard on the left wing linked up well, 1-2, and Hemia broke away and he's trying to switch the ball and defenders intercepted it. Rusin, has a lot of pace, absolutely body one of their defenders to break away and put a cross in for Clark in the first half that went just wide. But if we do start creating chances, and I do think there is a case of Sunderland having to get used to playing with a striker again, because everything seems to go through Clark. If it doesn't go through Clark, you're trying to switch the ball to Roberts. There was quite a few times, especially in the first half, where Rusin's on the shoulder of the defender, just a little dinked ball over the top, and he's in on goal. But like I said, signs are there that should Sunderland find a way to get them involved in the game a little bit more often, that they can come good.
Yeah, definitely. There's promise in. I haven't seen obviously much of Mayenda, but you would say there's promise in all four of them. I'd like us to persist with Rusin and Semedo and sort of Mayenda more than Burstow. That's not a slight on Burstow. He's just not obviously our player, and Chelsea are not going to sell him to us. Anything cheap. So there's not really. They're all sort of in the same sort of category, if you know what I mean. So I'd rather persist with ours. And like we're saying about Rusin, I saw him a couple of times sort of running behind, turn around, the ball didn't come. Yeah. So we, like you say, we've got to adapt to him. He's got to adapt to us. There's got to be that give and take. And we haven't played with Ross Stewart for a long time. And once you take him out and you play a totally different style, obviously the mindset is to know obviously the wingers know they need to dribble the ball and not really have a focal point up there, because Mowbray likes the strikers to get involved in the play and not necessarily just be that person in the box. Whereas the tactic 4 with Stewart was run the channels, bring others into play, and we're up the pitch so much better. But obviously it's a different way of playing. And I don't know if you heard Mowbray with Nick Barnes sort of had the ump a little bit, which was, I think he said about Rusin and where he struggles with the language, and then obviously turns out 2 days later he's starting. It's a bit like, well, yeah, but at least he's gone in there. We do have to work out. It is a little bit of an issue, but like you say, the signs are promising, and they've all got their own. They're young. They're going to be. There's a reason they're here and not, in the top end of the Premier League. Obviously, Rusin's come from Ukrainian football. Not going to be anywhere near the standard we play at the moment. Obviously, Mayenda is still very, very young. And
also injured again.
Yeah, and Semedo as well. He's playing in the second team in Portugal, and even if he's playing in the first team in Portugal, it's very slow, non-contact, nice football, if you know what I mean, as opposed to, he's going to have 2 centre-backs like up his arse constantly. He's got to learn. I think I watched, I think he played for the under-21s a few weeks back, and I could hear on the stream, like, the coaching staff was sort of telling him constantly, like, come on, because he was a little bit sort of lazy, but that's very much a European player. So hopefully he gets up to speed, all of them, and they are, to be fair, all 4 of them will be a really good threat.
Yeah. Well, next game is Swansea away on Saturday. There's only 2 more games until another international break. We've got an international break, 2-week break, 3 games, another 2-week break, and then it's annoying. But Swansea's the next game, away from home. I don't know where they are in the league, but I don't think they're doing particularly too much this season.
They're 13th.
Yeah. So this win against Norwich puts an end to a run of defeats. Realistically, you want to go to Swansea and start a run of wins.
Yeah, you want to obviously back it up. We've got a good basis to go and play. I don't know if they still play. They're obviously, the onus is on them being at home. Can we pick them off and attack them really quickly? And like you say, we're just waiting for that Roberts to, I don't want to say click, but you just want something to drop for him, maybe just give him a little bit of a boost, sort of stat wise. But I don't see any reason why, we shouldn't be going there. Number 1, giving them a game, and number 2, coming away with a win. Yeah.
If you had to go with a prediction for the game, what would it be?
I'd go 2-1 Sunderland. I only say 2-1 because I believe Dan Ballard is suspended, even though that's no one knows. But
It's weird because I don't actually know who
believe,
got booked there, because Sky Sports had Ballard as getting booked in the game yesterday, but not Ekwa.
I think it was from what I saw on the stream, Ekwa gets booked for his protest. But then I'm sure Danny Collins said at the same time, Ballard berates the linesman as well. He gets booked as well. And we're Sunderland. If you berate anyone, you get booked. So it's totally believable. But if he's out, you would have thought maybe Silt's going to come in. You would think, or he's going to shift, put Sirkin in, Huggins right back, and then Trey Hume centre back. But you never know. I'd like to see Silt come in, because I don't think he did too much wrong, even though he got humped in Middlesbrough game. But yeah, we'll go 2-1. But yeah, I'll take any win, and I'll back us in every game, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, that's on Saturday. We'll get a podcast out at some point over that weekend to talk about that game, and then a brief look ahead to the next game, which is at home to Birmingham, which is an early kickoff, I think, on the following Saturday. And then, of course, like I said, international break again straight after that, which is fun. So we'll get something out to talk about that Swansea game. But until then, we will see you later.
That's all, folks.